Thanks for staying with us. So Miriam said something that, was interesting to me. When you have a platform, you should use that platform for good. You should use that platform to speak up for the people who do not have that opportunity. And I've always believed that when God puts you in a position, whatever the position is, you have a sphere of influence. No matter how little it is, you must be able to stand up for what is right and what is for the good of the people. And, over the years, we've talked about the fact that we have our medical care not so top-notch, not at par with international best practices, just because our politicians are not patronizing those businesses. Because they say something, when you want to throw stone into the market, and you think, I'm vexing, I want to throw this stone, be careful, be watchful. You may throw it to your family member who is in the market. So you don't throw those stones, right? Because your people may be there. Now, this has come back somewhat, what we neglected, because I don't care, it's about me and my family, as long as I am secure, I'm okay, will find his way back to, if not us personally, to our family members, to our children, because we are still living in that society. So, with the sphere of influence that we have, and the sphere of influence that our leaders, our politicians have, how do we advise them to start being a part of the issues that we have here? Because if they think they have escaped it because of the money that they have, their children may not escape it. Their family members may not escape it. How do we tell them to, okay, our schools are not so good because your children are not there. If your children are there, the schools will be better. Because you will insist that some things are on standard. If the hospitals, if you are using the hospitals, you will insist that they are better because you don't want to come and die inside the hospital. So how do we begin to talk to people in leadership places to just take up their space and do what is right, not just for the good of the people, because it will also come back to be for their own good at the end of the day?
So Mr. Daniel belongs to a lot of charities. I read some of them. He backs and funds a lot of charities, including empowerment, for people without disabilities, and he does a lot of things. But the one thing he did not do was put his influence and class and power to people with disabilities. For me, imagine that, each time this came up, we had someone of his caliber standing up for any of such people. This would have gone far because you are able to relate. You understand. If somebody says, I can imagine, you'll be looking at a person, can you imagine? But if someone like him tells someone on a wheelchair or somebody who is visually impaired or someone that I understand your pain, the person will believe it. Yeah. Once I was made to address at the Dorcas Cancer Foundation the mothers whose babies were, dealing with cancers. Dorcas Cancer Foundation is a childhood cancer foundation. And I went there, and all the mothers, I saw one had a swollen tummy. I'm trying to remember what cancer that was. And this boy is from class. His clothes, even on the bed, did not look like a sick child's clothes. He was well-dressed, the mother well-dressed, her hair on point. But I could see the sadness all the way. And there was a way I looked at her, she dropped a tear. I wanted to say, I understand you. How do I understand you? When I'm only dealing with malaria and cough. It's not the same. Cannot be. I'm just on the board because it's not the same. When somebody is actually going through something, and daily he sees your plight, he would understand better. I would like to see him on the board of several of these bodies, talking about it, using the father's position as a senator, as a former governor, to say the enforcement must be strict. Let us enforce it. Every time such things happen, let it be strong enough to deter, Measures must be strong enough to deter. If we see those things, I'm sure that this would have been avoided. And we can start from this case in question.
Yeah, I like that. Let's take this call. Alhaji Ahmed from Jos. Good morning, Alhaji.
Good morning, my dear sister. So I greet every one of you, please. You are doing a great job.
Thank you.
Please, see, my own question is this. You see, that is what we are saying in this country. We need to treat ourselves well in this country. We need to show love for each and every one of us in this country. You see, that is what is really spoiling this country. We don't love each other. It's not only when you see somebody with disability, you need to treat the person badly. Even somebody that is completely okay, you need to treat somebody okay. Show love to somebody. That's number one point. My question is this: must he be a son of a dignitary before they close that KFC? It's not supposed to be. It's not supposed to be. According to this your adage, you said the other time. Toba Shiomolo, Yoruba used to say, Toba Shiomolo, want it better. But if it is a Motalika, what will happen? It's not supposed to be. What if it happens to somebody that is not even up to be, or is not a son of senator or this? Will they close a KFC? That is the question. The way it happened to Senator Gbenga Daniel, it's supposed to happen to somebody else that way. That is not even well to do. You understand? So that is my own point. Please let us treat ourselves well in this country. Let us show love to one another.
Thank you so much, Halaji.
So beyond showing love, beyond that emotional, let us be kind to everybody. Let us show love. Is that let us have policies and enforce those policies that allow people living with disability live with dignity. It's not enough to be, hey, yeah, sorry, eh? Come, let's carry this wheelchair. It's not enough. That's not even what they're asking for. They want to be able to live their lives independently.
With dignity.
Yes, recognizing that they have these disabilities, but, you know, that society has put in place measures that will allow them live in dignity. Because I know Nigerians, we have a lot of that, hey, yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
Hey, see, and this person cannot see you. Let us surround this person right now
and
give them that emotional whatever for that minute, and then we move on. That is not enough. So I don't see this man's involvement and the quick response of government as a negative thing. I don't see it as
a good one for everybody.
Exactly.
Yes,
I see it as a good one. I just also feel there's something that can be built on. So because when we keep pushing the narrative of, oh, it's because he's this person's son, that's why they did something. What will happen next time is people...
If it's nobody's son, nobody will do anything.
Keep quiet.
Yes.
Like before they say it's because I have name or I know somebody, I'll keep quiet. And then he will sort himself out quietly.
And then we lose out.
We lose out. So what we need to see, what's the positive here? How can we latch onto this positive and make sure that the positive for one person becomes a positive for many people?
Amazing. We have another caller, Yemi from Oshobo. Good morning, Yemi.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Yes. Okay, yeah. I think this is a very good development. Not good in the way you see it, but good. I have a child that is autistic, so I understand very well what happened. I don't think it's fair that the government is taking an action against a private organization when even the public ones are worse. I went to get a passport for my son, and I had to leave because he couldn't stand still. And I saw the way he was being pushed and pulled and stuff. So I came back home, and that was last year. And then the end of this year, I've been teaching him how to stand still. Because he can't stand still. He doesn't stand still. And this happens in a public organization. And so when they're talking about what's going on, even the government has fingers pointing at it. In every area. So I think it's a good thing, but I think even the government itself should please endeavor to think of not just the physically disabled, but also the ones that have a form of neurodiversity. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. I like that. So I've always said something that when there's no law, there's no sin. And what I mean, aside from the fact that we have the policies on ground, even the government parastatals don't have some of these things that we are talking about, that we are holding private businesses accountable. And I want to ask, we know the policies that we have. The people who sign off on these private businesses, how many times have they gone to check to insist that you do not put this, we are going to fine you, you should have this, you should have that, you should have this? We don't check. But it's very easy to quickly shut down this place when you have aired and it's in public domain. If he didn't make this noise and we don't know, probably they would have settled it quietly. But because he made the noise and we knew, it would be seen to, let's do something. Government want to act. But you are acting, you did not follow up on the policies while they were setting up the structures. A lot of establishments are everywhere that don't have these structures. And they got licensing to set up those structures without government. So which government body is responsible to ensure inclusivity?
Yeah.
And how do we hold them accountable to doing their job, preventive in the first place, before we now go to reacting? The Nigerian government is always reacting. So we quickly shut down this one, we shut down that one. If it had happened in the government parastatal, would they have shut down the whole place? That's a question.
So this makes me sad, just thinking about, how these privileges will not go around. We will not allow it go around. I saw a video of people living with disabilities.
I want to hear everything you want to say. Let me take this call from Abuja. Tom. Good morning, Tom. Tom, whoa. We can't hear anything. Go ahead, Nima.
So I saw a video of people living with disabilities where they identified each type of disability they had, and they'll say, I can work with government, I can do this, I can do that. You know how many establishments even have a quota of number of percentage of people living with disabilities that they can employ? We're talking about a privileged person with disability trying to buy food. How many can even afford
to even buy the food?
The food. So it just makes me sad as I sat here just thinking about, when we address this issue, we must address it from a human point of view. So we must address it as, Mr. Daniel's rights being abused. But we know that when we live here without addressing the lack of balance in how these privileges go around, the matter will just continue the worse. We will leave this matter now. KFC will be very sorry because they just discovered who they addressed, who they treated wrongly. Yeah. But we have not taught Nigerians any lessons. I wish that there's a way that we can do this and restart the conversation of the rights of people living with disabilities, such that an average child from primary school will know that, if my friend doesn't have the ability to do things, I must show them a certain level of empathy. I must open the doors. I must be accessible to them. I must carry that burden for them. I must, share my shoulder with them. It doesn't have to be the friend of a big man, the child of a big man, but my friend that I love, someone I would do anything to protect. I wish that's how this conversation would go. I'm wondering how we can move it from Mr. Daniel to everybody living with disability and what they have to face.
Yeah.
Right now, in this fasting period, my friend, the person that heads the Muslim Association of Visually Impaired Nigerians, is fasting. Coupled with her condition, she works, she went to school. I saw them, they do all sorts of things, to the point they made Vaseline, they made petroleum jelly, they made candles, they did, that for one form or the other trying to get empowered. Yeah. They're empowered. We even saw one who had, disabilities on her legs, who drives a Korokwe bus for a living at that event. And you'll be wondering how many more skills do they need to get before society can pay attention to them? Because they have to go to school, they have to do this,
and then we
just make it a bit easier for them. And nobody wants to live a life of dignity.
So we have another caller, Yakub from Dokmemu. Good morning, Yakub.
Yeah, good morning.
This is Yakub.
Good morning, everyone. I don't know, maybe you guys are hearing me very well. Hello?
Yeah, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Thank you very much. You see, this very particular issue is a very serious one indeed. Let me just say something about what Sister Nima said earlier, that he went to one occasion whereby disability people are doing something, and then no government official appear. They would never do that, but they can only appear when the politics is on. Maybe during the campaign period, you see them gather all the disabled people. They will be telling them they will do this, they will do that, promising heaven and earth. But after they got to the power, nothing will be ever done. And then we are talking about KFC here. BC, have you gone to the bank? Every bank in this country, none of them make any provision for disability people. Even some of the general hospitals, they don't make the provision for disability people. Even the government prosecutors, as you said earlier, it goes to Alaska, goes to everywhere. Not every one of them make this kind of provision for them. So what are we talking about? And then let's say this. It is because it's a former governor of Ogun State son. That is why they closed this thing down. As you rightly said in the studio earlier, if it is ordinary person, they will never do such. Then, come to think of it, who's going to fight for these guys? Nobody. You know why? There is no any provision for them in the politics. When we are talking about APC, PDP, and other people, there's no quota for disability people to fight for position. There's some other position they're supposed to live for disability people. Nobody should fight. Nobody should contest different particular position. Or else, if you are disabled, people. I just being that somebody in the National Assembly is a disabled people, it will be able to take their issue up anytime, any day. So now, everybody in the National Assembly, who are the disabled people there? Nobody. So those are the things we need to look into. Thank you, and God bless you guys.
Thank you, Yakub.
Okay, so I think we should think of solution. Like the government should try and create awareness, let people know about these people and all. At the same time, at home, I realize that some people are ashamed of these disabled people. They don't like allowing them to come out, you know. They make sure that they are indoors. They help them with one or two things and all of that. So at least let those ones to start speaking out. They should start speaking up. They should also come out and make sure that their voice, people hear their voice and all, and add it to whatever the government is going to do for them and all. And this disability thing, you know, it can happen to anybody. It's not from birth. You can
some
have
from
an
birth,
accident.
some from,
you can so it's better we treat it now, because anybody, it can happen to anybody at any time. Yes, as long as you are alive. You drive, you move around, anything can happen to you. You can lose your leg, your hand, anything, you know, and all. So, yeah, so we should start thinking of how to, you know, create awareness for all these things. And the government should come in and help us, you know, around this area.
I also believe we should start it early. It's one of the theses I did for my dissertation in my master's in education. I just narrowed down to people living with disability and how to get inclusive education, right? Because I remembered that when we're growing up in schools, secondary school at the time, we had people living with different disabilities as part of the classes. They were in the classrooms with us. We had people who were deaf, we had people who were in wheelchair, we had people who were blind in the class. So we, as children, related to it. It was not, nobody was discriminating. They were our friends, would help them do their activities. We related well. But then, a few years back, I'm really not seeing those people in society, and I'm wondering what now happened. Because in that school system, with everybody growing up together, we saw it as normal. We appreciated everybody. We, appreciated their intelligence, their talent. They were our friends. Everything was together, and that also helped their own self-esteem, knowing that we are seen as normal people. But after secondary school, I'm no longer seeing them as such in society. So what now happened when they left that safe space with children thinking they are the same with everybody into a society that is larger, that may not have given them the opportunity to even be themselves? What now happened to them? And some of them were no longer able to go to the university. Some of them just dropped out of school. And these were very talented people that just had one or two disabilities. And I'm saying how we can even start it from the schools, have an inclusive education, so that our children, as they are growing, we're all growing together. Imagine if those people were still my friends today. We're all growing together. We're all doing amazing together. They're also human beings. I will consider that.
So let me tell you why, one of the reasons that would happen. So when you finish primary school, let's say you went off to secondary school, and maybe you had to find your way. You got on a bus, maybe 2 buses, and you got to secondary school, or you were a boarder, you stayed in the hostel. How many of those who were living with disability would have done that as easily as you have? So already challenges right in front of them. So what did we do as a society, as government, to make sure that that child that was living with disability, that was just a carefree child, was able to evolve and grow just like you, and make use of the opportunities just like you are doing, but in a way that gave that child dignity. So another child would have maybe forced, was able to do that, but we would do that now realizing the differences between you and that person. Because the society caters to you, but ignores him, ignores everything that they need to live with dignity. So those are the things that we have done. That's why I said it's not enough to speak up, to accept and love. We have to put things in place
I like that.
to show that these people matter, their dreams matter, what it is that they need to get their livelihood and everything, their hustle, everything matters. So we put things in society to allow for easier living for them, and we don't do that.
I think we can wrap up on that. You have summed up everything we as part of solution, but let's take this call before we go. Akim from Ojo. Good morning, Akim.
Akim. Good morning, madam.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, ladies. I don't have much to say. It's a very hot topic. This is happening because it involves a big man's son. That is my take. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So we need to do better as a people. The government needs to do better in terms of implementing the policies they say they have, because they had quoted the constitution of this right and right and right and right in the write-up, right? But they need to implement it. They need to ensure that these people are, like you just said, are a part of us, and they will be given, the things will be made easy for them so that they can be able to navigate the challenges that life throws at them. We will all have different challenges based off of the disabilities that they have, but we must show that they matter, just like Miriam has said. I think that's all we can take on this segment. When we come back, we hopefully move on to another topic. Stay with us.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.